Hello and welcome back to a new video. Before we get started, this channel is, at the time of recording, a little over 100 subs to 1,000. And I wanted to extend my appreciation to everyone who has been watching, commenting, and liking the videos. Seriously, the support is so appreciated by me, and I've been having an absolute blast chatting with you all in the comment section and sharing my passion with you all. This journey has been absolutely amazing, and I'm thinking of doing something fun for my 1,000 sub special, and I may have a cool idea in mind. With that out of the way, let me introduce today's project. We'll be closing out the DKOldies Reject series by finally opening this disk drive and giving it the love it deserves. If you saw the previous video, you'll know that the PS3 this came out of was a buggy, rusty mess, and this is also a little rusty. But if you haven't seen the previous video, check it out after this video. Now, I have no idea what to expect opening this up. It does work, so I'm hoping it just needs a basic clean and repainting the shell, but we'll see. Then we'll put it back in when it's all done and see if the whole system works. It should if I didn't do anything dumb. So, without further ado, let's get cracking. So I suppose we'll just start off by unplugging some things. And then I'm just going to cut the foam here with an X-Acto knife. Now normally I wouldn't do that, but because this is getting repainted, I'm going to try to remove this foam. This is being really stubborn. It's really stuck on there. On this particular disk drive model, we have 3 screws on the top. And then with the drive flipped over, I believe there's only 4. Alright, the moment of truth here. If I can get it apart. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not good. It's a lot of scaling or whatever that is. It's chalky. It's making my hands white. Okay, well, we got to get this off. We'll just take the disk drive magnet out now. Yeah, it'll be nice once we get it cleaned up, but I think what I'm going to have to do is completely disassemble everything in here. So, which is not what I wanted to do because this is much more complicated than other disk drives, so I really try to avoid it at all costs, but I don't think there's going to be much I can do on this one. I think it's just best for the drive to do that. So the disk drive should be in 2 separate halves, so to undo that we're going to have to take these screws out. They're right here in the front and the corners. At least on this particular model. I think the, was it 4 or 5 ribbon model? I believe it only has 1 in a corner. Yep, we're loose. And then the two clips back here. And then the top piece comes out. We'll deal with this later. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with inside. It's actually not too bad as I'm getting down in here so far. I do see a little discoloration on the plastic from whatever residue is on here. Got a little bit of rusting on here, but I don't think that that's going to be much of a big deal. We got some white crud on the board, which I believe will clean up very easily with a Q-tip. But, I mean, otherwise everything looks pretty good. So just basic clean and that should be it. But next we got to get the bottom shield off so then we can access the rest of the stuff underneath. Gotta shimmy this off somehow. Oh, there's another screw here in the middle. Oops. That was actually hidden completely behind this white stuff here. So now it should just pop right off. Hopefully. Now we got some tape. Just remove it. This tape isn't required. Okay. Yeah, we got two thermal pads here. We might as well just replace those when the time comes. Alright, so it's not a clasp. No, there's no clasp on here. You can just pull it out. Alright, that is easy enough. Now we just got to get this board out of here. And to get the board out, you just push this tab here. Now we're attached at the laser in the back here, which actually makes it a little easier to get to. You can't really see it on camera, but there's a thing you have to release. You pull it back and then, yeah. And then the ribbon cable comes out. So we'll clean this board up in a little bit. So we have access to everything else in here. Next up, I want to get the drive mechanism out of the way here. So I'm going to undo these 4 screws, and it should just pop right out. And we'll just put this aside for now. And the next thing I want to remove is this board with the switches. And we'll have to get after the motor in a bit. And it appears to get at the motor here, I have to remove all these gears. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, actually this whole thing's just an assembly. That's cool. But we'll take the gear out anyway and clean it. Now that's free. That's one spring out. 3 more to go. Alright, this much smaller one goes here. It's actually kind of more of a reminder for myself. And last one on this bottom piece. With the springs and everything out, I'm gonna actually leave all these pieces in as is. I mean, I could spend the time like snapping them out, but I have all the metal stuff out, so I always just get a little nervous about them rusting, so that's why I want to remove all the springs. But this should be fine as is to wash it. It might just take an extra couple days to dry because of the nooks and crannies, but I think it'll be alright. So now we'll just move on to this, and we'll try to get this completely disassembled. Let's just keep on keeping on. Okay, this one is upper left. This one's lower right. It's a little, or upper, yeah, lower right. Right? Yeah, lower right. This one's got a smaller lead than the one on the left side. And then on the underside, it looks like we have a spring here with a screw. Back on the top, we got this screw. And hopefully everything just comes out. Oh my god, it's finally apart. I am gonna say this is not gonna be fun putting back together. So here we have all the parts. I'm gonna wash these up and they'll probably end up drying for a couple days. And then the other thing I'm going to do too that I don't normally do, I'm gonna wash this too. I mean, I'm not worried about it getting rusty because it's already rusty, but it's got a lot of this. I assume it's like white mold or something, mildew, something, but I think it will benefit from a nice wash. And then when it dries, we can go and grind it down. It's been a couple of days now, and we are ready to grind the paint and the rust off of these two pieces here. And I just got home from work, so I'm still in my work clothes. And since it's gonna make a mess, I'd rather do this now than before I take a shower and have to take a shower again. So we'll put on our safety glasses and get started. I also did forget to mention too, I did mask off the warning label and the front and back here. I did that off camera. I just put masking tape on and cut it with an X-Acto knife. And now the top shielding. So this is as good as I'm going to be able to get these. The paint will cover the rest of it. And then we're just gonna spritz these down with some alcohol, get all the little pieces off, and it should be good for paint. So I'm gonna do the bottoms of the shieldings first, because I think I'm only gonna probably put one coat of paint on. So for the bottom shielding, I'm going to use this metallic finish from Rust-Oleum. And then for the top shielding, I'm going to use the Maclesia Gray by Krylon. Probably gonna have to do 2 coats actually. Okay, so we'll let this dry and then we'll come back, flip them over, and do the other side. I must say, these came out really good. I mean, they're not perfect. There's some stuff on the surface, but I think as a whole, this came out fantastic. Now, full disclosure, I did have to put a 3rd coat on the top of this, but that's because while this was sitting outside, a small leaf landed in the wet paint, so I had to scratch that out and then put another coat on, but you can't even tell where it was. I don't even remember where it was, so yeah, I guess all we gotta do now is just take this tape off and see if we had any overspray or anything. And that label came out like perfect. Nothing leaked underneath, so that's nice. Just set that aside for now. Oh, man. Unfortunately, tape took the foam right off. That sucks. This was a little too sticky. Might have to think of another solution here. So I think we're about ready to start putting this all back together. So I did take some copious amounts of pictures, which something like this I highly recommend you do. So I got my grease, my alcohol and everything ready to go. So I guess it's just a matter of putting things back in. So I will lubricate quite a bit of this up just to give it the best chance possible. And then there's like a little ridge on here. We gotta try and get that over. It should lock it in. And it's good. And moving on, we got this piece here. It's gonna go over. Okay. Bam. So next what I want to put in is the circuit board and switch thingy here, along with the motor, but it does have some old grease on it. I have not cleaned it off yet, so we'll just clean that off and then re-grease it. There's a couple little pieces in there. Just pick them out with the tweezers. Yeah, I have to push in the switch on over here. So when this moves, it's going to activate the switch in the back. Okay, I see right here, this thing's moving up. So I do want to just put a dab of grease on that, just because it's a moving part. And just a little grease on the bottom here. The wheel here will lubricate the top of this gear. And we got a black screw here. And then the silver screw goes here. All right, so everything should be locked into place here, at least for this part. There does need to, spring does need to go in here still, but I just don't remember which spring it is, and I kind of threw them all in one spot. So we'll see what spring we got left, and then we'll figure it out from there. So we'll just set this aside for now, and then we will move on to the top, which I think will be the bigger issue here. Oops, my bad, I lied. We actually got one more thing we got to put in on the bottom half of the disk drive, and that's this piece here. And this goes, I believe, just right here. Oh wait, no, it starts here. Yeah, there we go. And we got one spring. Alright, so I guess I'll start up here. Okay, that appears to be in. I'll just put that there for now. And then on this thing we got 4 gears. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on here. Just kind of help them move a little bit. Doesn't have to be much. Now let's see if I can get this in without spilling these gears all over the place. Ah, damn it. Let's try that again. Let's make sure these gears are moving. Yep, they're all moving together. Just gotta notch it in there and then move it over. So that shouldn't go anywhere. Unless, of course, you move it. Unless, of course, you move it down here, then it'll pop out. So, yeah. Just move them all the way off to the side for now. Should be alright. Okie doke. Now we're going to put this other white piece in. So that should just go right there. Yep, and then just clips all in. Oh, missed. It's on the top here. There we go. So now this black piece on the right side's got to go in. But it's also got to lock into this. So got to figure out how exactly this is going to happen. Remember that game when you were a kid where you had to fit the shapes in? It's almost like what this is. And maybe if we pull this out. Sure, just like in typical Titans Repair fashion, I'm probably overcomplicating this. Okay, well it's in, but now it's stuck in this part where it's not supposed to be.
2 hours later.
Now what if I fit this in first? And put this in. Okay. Okay, we're making progress here. All right. It's a little more fiddly than I would have liked it, but we got it in. I'm hoping that this side's a little less fiddly, because this has those gears that I do not want to fall out. Okay, so we are locked in there, so that's good. Oh, sweet. That actually wasn't as fiddly as I thought it would be. So then we do have a screw that has to go here. Great, so that should lock everything in place. And before we go into the back, I do want to just put a little grease on some moving pieces here. I see some areas here where it looks like there's been some rubbing plastic, so just help it along a little bit. So on the back here, we got this piece. So what we gotta do is we gotta slide this tab underneath here. Just kind of lock it in place, just like that. And then there's another screw, and on this particular model, it's the screw with the red line. I don't know if that's on any other ones, but okay, great. Now we can actually start putting the springs on. We might as well start on the back here. Ah, crits, you ding dong. Put the screw on after the spring. That's what locks it into place. And so once you put the spring in, you gotta cross the legs over each side, which will give it the springy action. So now with that done, now I can do this in the actual order it's supposed to go in, and this should lock the spring in place. Seems good to me. All right. We'll just flip this back over and then we'll put on the remaining springs. So you'll notice two distinct loops on these springs. You got one that's a circle and one that's kind of like a J. The J is going to go on the black part here, but the circle part's going to go on the white. Because the J's got to slip underneath that. So the spring can really only go on one way. Lost it there for a sec. Okay. Excellent. So as of right now, we're done with the top piece here, so we will just set this aside because we got more springs to put on the bottom piece. So there are going to be 3 springs that go in on the bottom piece here. So we're going to have one long one that goes here, we're going to have one shorter one that goes here, and then another shorter one that goes here. Now this can get a little confusing about what spring goes where. Because, I mean, you take them out, and even I had to have a little bit of a debate with myself on where they went. So basically, if you get lost and forget which spring goes where, on the top piece, those 2 springs are the exact same size, so just separate those out. But on this one, if you forget which one goes here or here, this spring has thinner wire on the spring part itself. So the matching spring would go with that, the matching smaller spring. And then the one with the thicker metal will go here. I'll actually try it with the open end here first. Yeah. This is much easier. Try some different tweezers. Ah, the tweezers with the hook. Saved the day. So now that we have the springs and everything back together, we will just set this aside because the next thing that needs to be addressed is the laser deck here. But my wife just got home, so I'm going to settle in with the night for her, so I'll be back tomorrow. And I'm back, and now we can finally finish up with the laser deck here. So first thing I'm going to do is just remove these screws here. This screw on this side will hold this piece down, and that holds the rail down. So we'll just remove that. And on the back side here, on the back side here, we'll just back this screw out because that's putting tension on the rail. Might as well do the other side too. Actually, we'll take the screws all the way out. And then we have this one up on top here. So that's 3 of them. So now I have to undo this. So I'm just going to take a flathead here. Just kind of pry it up. It should release. So now we can remove this rail, and that just slides out like so. Now we got to do back here. and get this clip off. So this is pretty simple. Slide the clips off to the side. Just kind of slides out there. And now this rail comes out. Then we can remove the laser. I do want to do my best to get some of this rust off here. It does appear like it just is flaking off, so I'm really just hoping a little bit of a rub down here will take care of some of it. That didn't appear to have the effect that I was hoping for, so I got a small piece of 1000 grit sandpaper, just because that's all I have. Just take a little of it off, see how that looks. I really just want to prevent it from rusting excessively any further, so. Yeah, I would say it's better. It looks like there's a little bit of dust in here from when I was sanding, so. It doesn't look like there's any crap in here, so I am just going to take a pick. Yeah, there really wasn't anything in there, so that's good. But we do need to get the old grease out. So I'll use my 91 on this. We'll just take some new grease. Might be a little too much, but it's not gonna hurt it. When the laser goes back in, it'll work it where it needs to go, so I'm not too worried about it. And of course, can't forget about the spindle motor here. Might as well clean this off too. It is a little rusty though. Yeah, it seems to have taken it off. Looked like it was only on the surface. And can't forget about the teeth here that go into the worm gear. And then also, see a little grease on the sides. I'm not going to be able to get the stuff on the inside, but that should do that there. All right, now we can start reassembling. All right, so first things first. I am going to lightly grease this rail that goes on this side near the worm gear. So we got to do that one first. And now this is just kind of like what I like to do. to like to put grease in between. So then when the laser moves, it just collects it and kind of lubricates it as it goes. So you'll see these notches, they kind of line up in here. You'll see the notches on the side. This one doesn't seem to want to go in. There it goes. Okay. And that just slides into place and it'll hold it down. Yeah, you'll see a notch there, it just notches right in. All right, then on the back side here, all we have to do is put in these last 3 screws. And just taking a look at screws protruding, they should be touching all the rails and they appear to be. So last thing I like to do, which is always my cherry on top, is just gonna clean the laser lens. Just with a little bit of 91% alcohol. All right, now we just gotta drop this in. All right, that all looks lined up. And don't forget about this cylindrical gear, that goes right here. It'll, when you take it apart, it literally falls out. So just something to be wary of there. And we'll just put this on. Just clicks into place. So the 2 screws in question go right here in the front. Almost forgot about the board. So I did want to replace the thermal pads, so I did go ahead and remove them, so I just got to cut them from this sheet. And these longer screws should go in the back. Alright, this disk drive is back together. Now I guess all that there is to do is test to make sure this thing works. Hopefully everything went back together properly. Alright, so we're all plugged in, ready to go. And this is going to be the first boot since we started this project. Well, this is a promising start. Alright, let's see if the disk drive works. Alright, so I read the game. Let's see if it'll load.
A few moments later.
Yeah, let's try it again.
An eternity later.
Let's try a different game. I read that one. It's taking an awful long time to read this game. Well, it might be an issue with the laser. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Oh, well, that's a real bummer. It seems like the laser is just not working. I think it might have went bad. I mean, I didn't do like super thorough testing when I first got this in, so it could have been just a fluke that it read the one disc. I don't even think I even loaded the game. I don't remember. The most I did on testing was what was in that DKOldies video. So, I think what I'm gonna have to do is just order another laser and hope for the best on this one. So, I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll see you when I see you. And we're back. So I have the replacement laser deck in the package here, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I did have a thought when this was shipping, and it was already too late to cancel the order, so I just kind of let it ship. But I'm actually have this hunch that I might have actually screwed something up in the assembly process, or the reassembly process, I should say. Now, remember when we had to screw in the screws here into the rails? I think I might have actually screwed them in too much and kind of knocked off the kind of like angle for the laser to read. That could possibly be why it's struggling. But what I decided to do was open up the one that came in, and maybe let's do a comparison and see if my hunch might be correct. I mean, I'm still going to probably back them off and then give it a test, but we'll see. So because I'm a glutton for punishment and I never seem to learn my lesson, I did order this from AliExpress. And I do have to say, this is exactly how it's shipped to my front door. I obviously peeled away the shipping label because, you know, privacy and all that, but literally just a tape piece of foam. So AliExpress did not disappoint there. So hopefully it's intact. Oh, okay. So I was actually expecting this to just be floating in this styrofoam container, but it's good it came in a box. Let's see. Alright, well at least it's decently packaged. Yeah, I'm not so sure that this is a brand new part. Oh yeah, this is definitely not a new part. Yeah, I see some dust on here. It's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, I'll bring you all in on a closer look. So yes, everybody in the comments can say, why did you do that? But yeah, this is not new, as the listing claimed it was, because new lasers would not have hair in here and gunk. So it's a little unfortunate, but then there's some schmutz over here. Yeah. But it does appear to be a genuine part. Yeah, there's definitely evidence on the ribbon cable of it being used. So it's a little disappointing if you ask me, but hey, but if we can get the other one working, this will be a decent spare to have around. I hope this shows up on camera. I just don't have a good enough telephoto zoom lens, but I'm kind of comparing the new laser assembly that I got, comparing the rails here and here. It does kind of look like I might have screwed this up. I think I did screw the screw in a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this off, and I want to see if that makes a difference, and hopefully it'll read better. If not, then we can throw this one in and hope for the best. But kind of sucks that I'd have to clean it up. So I'm just going to back this off just a little bit. A couple turns. And it looks about even to where the other one is. And so I'm just gonna pop this back in, and then we'll put it back in the PlayStation and we'll test it out, see what happens. So I got this thing vaguely slapped together just for testing purposes. So we'll start with Portal 2, see how quickly it reads. If you remember last time, it took frickin' forever. Okay, that actually read it at a pretty decent clip. Yeah, actually seems to be doing pretty decently just getting to the main screen so far. Yeah, I think this was further than we got before. But now we have to play the waiting game for this configuration stuff. Never played Portal 2, so yeah, you can see the loading screen's doing pretty well.
Look down at the floor. Good. This completes the gymnastic portion of your mandatory physical and mental wellness exercise. There's a framed painting on the wall. Please go stand in front of it. This is art. You will hear a buzzer. When you hear the buzzer, stare at the art. You should now feel mentally reinvigorated.
All right, let's take a look at Ratchet and Clank, which was the other game that was giving me issues.
Nice. I'm just a hero. Just can't beat the old Omni Wrench.
Hey, Captain, we're receiving an encrypted transmission. Please report to the bridge pronto.
Yeah, I'd say that this is working pretty well. So there you have it. Sometimes the slightest oversight can keep your system from working. Backing out those screws definitely solved the problem. Live and learn. As for this AliExpress laser, I don't actually know if it works or not. I didn't try it. But in my free time, what I'll do is I'll take this one apart, clean it up, and get it ready for when I need it, and I'll just cross that bridge when I come to it. Now, I am sure people are thinking why I didn't just buy the laser. I bought this as a whole assembly because I figured if I was going to replace the laser, I may as well just replace the deck too. That was just a little rusty, but that clearly didn't pan out. So yeah, otherwise the disk drive wasn't too bad to take apart and clean and put back together. It's just one of those things that you definitely need to stay organized and take pictures to make sure you put all those little pieces back in the right spot. With that all said, thank you so much for coming along on this video and the DKOldies series with me. If you like the video, and if you like this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button to see my future projects. I'll see you on the next one, and remember, fix it, don't ditch it. Have a good one.